Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I really do appreciate it. And I did not want to make this video, but the reality of the situation is that it looks like this player of the New York Knicks is not going to be here long term, or may not be here for the next season, as we did go on to exercise Obi Toppin's team option, and he does have an opportunity to be extended, but he's kind of in the position that the New York Knicks shouldn't go on to spend cap space on Obi Toppin, not because he's a bad player, but he hasn't really got a consistent opportunity when it comes to minutes and being played throughout his strengths. He hasn't been that big time complementary piece for the New York Knicks. He averaged 17 minutes per game last season, and his minutes went on to drop a couple down to 15. I'm not saying Obi Toppin is a future all-star for the New York Knicks, but it's completely unacceptable that he only averages 15 minutes per game for the New York Knicks. And people may say, well, then do better in your minutes out there on the floor. Averaging 7 points per game in 15 minutes is pretty damn solid. He's not a terrific defensive player. He's not horrible. I thought he's gotten a lot better when it's come to his rookie year. Comparing his rookie year to now, he's a decent defender. He's not fantastic. He hustles out there on the floor, but we know there's limitations when it comes to his lateral quickness. But it definitely does not help his game when he's out there for those 15 minutes and he's not being played throughout his strengths. There is sometimes that Josh Hart looks to push the basketball, or Hartenstein will find a very good read. But the way our offense is being run, it does not put Obi Toppin in the position to be successful. He's a decent three-point shooter. He's not a terrific three-point shooter. Half of his shots should not be coming from beyond the arc. We should not be placing him in the corner. He should be constantly moving out there on the floor. And when he has the opportunity to move, he definitely does, as he just runs up and down the court. He moves like a gazelle. He hustles. And we appreciate that from Obi. This dude's from New York. We want him to be successful. And I know everyone's saying, like, oh, this dude's a terrible three-point shooter. At the beginning of the season, he was actually our best statistical three-point shooter from downtown. It's hard to get into a rhythm when you don't get consistent minutes out there on the floor. We saw in the second half of Game 5 when Julius Randle went down in a closeout game, Obi Toppin went on to have 12 points in the second half. He went on to knock down some perimeter jumpers. And when he has the opportunity, I'm not saying he's an elite shot creator, he has shown that he can shoot from mid-range. There is times that I do think he plays soft out there on the floor when it comes to attacking the basket. And sometimes you want to see him put his nose in there and really get those rebounds like at a higher level. We did see that when it came to Game 4, when it came to Madison Square Garden, he did a really good job putting his nose in there and getting 8 rebounds when it was the second half in that fourth quarter when the Cavs are starting to go on a little bit of a run. So Obi brings that electricity. He has godly athleticism. He's a decent three-point shooter, but the reality is here, the reports that came out, starting off with the first one here, coming out by Fred Katz, a reliable source. Tom Thibodeau and Obi Toppin allegedly had a heated argument following Game 4 of the Heat series. I'm not sure if that's completely true, but if that is true, I really wonder what started that. I don't know if it was like an argument with the playing time or what, but it says Toppin yelled at Thibodeau in front of teammates, so fresh off of a loss that they were still in uniform. Assistant coach Rick Brunson stepped in to stand up for his boss. Toppin and Brunson got into it for a moment. Randall, Evan Fournier, and Josh Hart next pulled Toppin aside to cool him off. So that's good leadership pulling him aside. Not sure if that's true. This nigga wow, bro. But we know there's kind of a thing, Thibodeau definitely does yell at Toppin, but I understand it. I'm not soft. He's missing a defensive assignment. You want to yell at your player and try to get in their head in a type of way to make sure that they don't continue to make the same mistake. So I'm not sure if that's completely true, but the most important one coming out by Stephon Bondi, Obi Toppin is a name to watch on the trade market. A source said Toppin was frustrated at times with his role, although he refrained from complaining to the media. Yeah, Obi, you notice how he's been classy about this the whole time. He's never really put anything on social media about wanting to be traded. And does this affect the potential of Emmanuel Quickley's future here long term, or no? Like, Quickly may look at it as a business, but obviously he's like best friends with Obi Toppin. They have an extremely good connection. But the way I think about it, the way the New York Knicks utilize an Obi outside on the perimeter, don't get me wrong, he is the ability, or sometimes these situations that I'm like, he should put the ball on the floor there. But you could say maybe he's limited and they're putting him in a box and saying, don't drive. That's the tough thing. We don't know what Tibbs is telling him. Johnny Bryant, Rick Brunson, Dice Yashimoto, Greer, and even more. We don't know if they're putting him in this box to just shoot jumpers in certain situations, or yeah, you could put the ball on the floor. We saw that towards the end of the season, the Wizards-Pacers games when they're playing up against like the second and third stringers like Gabe York, etc. So I don't put so much stock into those games because there's some guys that just go completely off, but you have to realize the competition they are playing with the second and third stringers at the end of the season. I'm not taking anything away from an Obi Toppin, but the way I look at it, the New York Knicks are trying to make a player of Obi Toppin something he's not. If the New York Knicks want to go out there and get a shooter that plays defense, bring that guy in, trade Obi. I know the Pacers, you take a look at the Pacers picks, and I think this is potentially what we're getting for Obi. Obi's value is not that high because I don't think anyone wants to sign him to an extension right now. He hasn't showed enough of a sample size. He has shown that he can play, but 15 minutes, I guess some people want to see more consistency, but I mean consistency of minutes to really show himself. So some clubs out there probably like his ability, but let's also keep in mind that he's 25 years old. He was older when we drafted him, but the Pacers have the 7th pick. We're not getting that, but potentially maybe we can get the 26th and 29th pick or one of those picks. We do not have a pick in this draft, but I don't think if we do go on to get Obi's replacement, it will be in the draft. Will it be in the off season? Will we go out there try to get like a Jay Crowder? That's just a name to throw out there. Someone that has the ability to shoot the three ball. He's a veteran. Sometimes he's up and down throughout game shooting the three ball, but he's a physical guy. So instead of trying to make Obi something he's not consistent, like there's times we push the pace, we find Obi. And then there's times he's just standing in the corner. I'm like, there's no action. Why is that? This dude needs to be constantly moving. So my opinion, we have failed Obi. I'm not saying he's a perfect player at all. He's not a great defense player. He's not a good defense player. He's okay. But I feel like he's underrated feel for the game when he has the ball in his hands. He's an underrated passer. He's a decent ball handler, not a great ball handler. He's kind of a jack of all trades. He's decent at everything, but he brings that athleticism to the table. And he's a great teammate. That's what I love. He's positive vibes. But the reality is he was just stuck in a really tough situation. I felt we drafted Obi, and it's just like, all right, let's see what Randall does. And then Randall went on to be awesome in the regular season, and it kind of just pushed Obi out of the future a little bit. So Obi's kind of stuck in this weird position, but if the Knicks want a player of the skill set with shooting, with defense, get that in draft, get that in free agency, and really just focus in on that. Don't try to make Obi Toppin something he's not, but when he's been here, Obi's been a class act. Again, I'm not saying he's some terrific future talent, or I'm not saying he's a future all-star, but I wish him the best wherever he goes. And let me know down below your thoughts on this situation. Peace out, y'all.